Let's continue our interview with car collector Barry Hilbert. Barry, we have made a giant, I want to say leap, actually a minuscule, I guess, from a giant 59 Continental to a little itty bitty King Midget. And before you answer any questions, I think you and I fall into what a lot of the viewers fell into when I was growing up. My dad and everybody's dad had a subscription to Popular Mechanics, and every issue in the back there was an ad for a King Midget, and every boy and lots of girls from about 4 years old on just dreamed about having one of these cars. I just think they are so cool.
I was that way. It was 1959, and I was going to high school in California. Dad was in the Air Force. And he took those magazines, and I sent for the catalog, which showed this model. But at my high school, one of the kids had the earlier King Midget. And every day he would come out and have to lift the front end of the car up off the concrete stops, put it back down, and putt out of the parking lot. But at $1 a week allowance for cutting the lawn, even at $680, this wasn't going to happen. It took 35 years to find the two of them.
Yeah, you have two of them. They're so cute. Well, what's the appeal here? I know the answer to this already, but I want to get you have a car that's totally, for the most part, impractical. You don't want to be trying to go down the freeway on this car.
People ask me if I drive down the freeway.
It's limited in everything. It's probably a little bit dangerous because maybe it's just not seen. Knowing all these things, I still want one.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's got a cuteness about it that's timeless. It looks like an old Jeepster.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like one of the Jeepsters from the early 50s. The size, I mean, it's just unpretentious. It doesn't put on any airs. It just says, hey, look at me. I'm this little car. And it's so well made. And I think that's what impresses me about it, is how well made it is. The two men had a dream to build a little car in Athens, Ohio, and succeeded. And people come up to me. I can be my one-man car show. And they come up and they want to know about it. If I meet somebody that has even seen the ad, I think that's amazing.
The history of King Midgets, I know they originally started out basically looking like soapbox derby cars with motors in them.
Yeah, the first one.
Then they had a kind of a sporty model or whatever. Can you run us through the history?
Well, they started out, they met after World War II at a Civil Air Patrol meeting, and they decided...
They being these two guys?
Yeah, Dale Orcutt and Claude Dry, and they'd both built homemade airplanes, and said, why can't you build a little commuter car that was built like a home-built airplane, very light, efficient, simple? So I said, well, that's a nice idea, but how can you do it? So they started out building a scooter that really looks pretty neat. If you ever see a picture of a King Midget scooter, they kept pocketing the money. Then they came out with this one-seater, like you're talking about, it looks like a dirt track racer. That was mostly a kit. You had to build that yourself. Then came the first two-seater, which was a little smaller than this, more rounded off, smaller engine. And this is the biggest car, the final evolution, the most complex thing they ever built. Still a one-cylinder engine. And this started being built in '57 and lasted till they went out of business in '69, which wasn't their fault. A guy bought the company in '66, and it went into bankruptcy in 3 years.
This particular car has a 12 horsepower Kohler in it, right?
Right. That was the biggest engine they ever put in them. They started putting those engines in '67, 12 horsepower, and then before that they used a Wisconsin 9-horse.
How fast will it go, and what kind of transmission does it have?
They supposedly patented, it's a 2-speed centrifugal clutch system, which surprisingly very simple, but they came up with it. In the catalog they said it would do 55. When I was younger and dumber, I took one of them down in front of the Navy base, held the gas pedal down, and it got to 55.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, this is the dumbest thing I have ever done. If you've ever seen the cameras in the land speed record cars just before they flip over, where they're going like this.
That's what you were doing.
That's what I was doing. They're happiest around town at about 35. They love to do what a big car hates to do, stop and go, short trips, slow speeds.
My thought is that the ownership of one of these, it's a short commuter. You run to the grocery store in it, you run to the neighbor's house in it, you just have fun in it.
Yep.
You're not going to pack up and make a 200-mile drive in it, though I'm sure there are people out there that do that. But what is the best use of this? Is this a smart car out of the 50s, or what?
Well, exactly what you're saying. What would kill a big car, this loves to do. Stop and go, short runs. One of the best ideas I heard is use it to service airplanes at a small municipal airfield. You can go out with a little trailer behind it, go from plane to plane, shut it off, turn it on, putt around. Nothing's going to bother it. But there is they showed a photo of the guy with his King Midget, the earlier model. In the early 50s, this guy took one from Michigan to Mexico City and back over 11,000 foot high mountain range and 700 miles of desert. Didn't have a single breakdown. It cost him $44 for gas.
Wow.
So people did some bizarre things with these, way beyond what you'd imagine. But they were ahead of the time. The smart car, the whole idea of simplicity, maintain it yourself, is wonderful. What this car cost is what it costs for a diagnostic checkup today, before you even find out, what your car needs.
Barry let me drive this from where he lives to our little spot here. The first thing that impressed me was it was so roomy inside. There was a lot of room in there. It was actually comfortable, and could have had my wife sitting alongside of me and we'd have been just fine. It felt like is there something beyond here, or was it all the way to the front? Because it looked like...
well, right about here is where the floor comes up, where the fender line is.
Right at the back of the fenders.
And even with the fenders, there's a partial shelf that goes all the way to the nose. Okay. It's a little hard to get at, but you can put side curtains, coats, and whatever you want under there, and nobody will even know it's there.
A little bit of trunk area.
But it is, anyone I've given a ride to in this just marvels at how much room there is inside.
The other one's white, looks really nice. This looks really sporty. And you say this is a stock color on this?
This was a stock color. They decided initially to do one color, and that was white. Keep everything simple. But in the 60s, people wanted colors, so they offered red, yellow, and blue. And the story goes that because now they had to mix the paint and put it in a spray gun and shoot your car, that they would charge $10 extra for the trouble. Unlike Detroit, which would offer you, about 50 colors, it seems, per car per year.
And a certain period of time, all 50 colors at the same time on the car.
On the car, right. My wife loves the red. I like the white one because the white one was the one I saw in the ads in the magazines, and
The restoration on this, this looks like a show car. This is absolutely beautiful.
Well, it's nicer than most of them look. A lot of them were used up and thrown away. You find that they've been thrown out in the backyard somewhere. Some were just treated always as a toy, and this one obviously was. I got it from an elderly couple, and they said it had been in heated storage 10 years. The only thing bad with it was the inner tubes had rotted. And it's got the original Goodyear tires, the top's original, the Masonite dashboard. I don't even know if you can buy Masonite anymore. It's just a nice original car with one repaint on it.
What model year is this?
This one's a 67.
67.
And this is when the new owner started cranking these out instead of building them as they were getting orders. And they were storing them all over Athens, Ohio, and they ran out of money. And he did the exact opposite of what was working for over 25 years.
But he was going to make a big success out of it.
Well, supposedly at one time it was the 5th biggest car company in the United States when all of the independents were disappearing.
Yeah. Barry, thank you very much for allowing us to take a look at your collection, both large and small, very large and very small. I think we have done over 400 episodes of the show, and you have the biggest and the smallest collection we've seen.
Most at each end.
Yeah. So thanks a lot.
My pleasure, and I appreciate any publicity that the King Midget can get. That it never got when it was being built is great to see.
Yeah, and thank you very much for watching the show. I'll let you in a little secret. I'm working on a deal on owning a King Midget, so next time you see me, ask me if I actually did the deal. Thanks a lot for watching, and we will see you again next time. Until then, bye-bye.